As we prepare for the 2010 election, echoes from 1910 reverberate down the generations. Labor with a vision to build our nation up. The Conservative parties with the aim only to tear things down. Labor building Australia up with a nation-building agenda. The Liberal Party just wanting to tear things down. Tear down the most basic protection from unfair dismissal. Tear down the modernisation of our schools. Tear down the historic reform of the National Health and Hospitals Network and rip up a national broadband network. Ours is a different story. Ours is a different mission. Ours is a different set of values. We stand for a strong economy. They have said instead they would have sent us into recession. We stand for delivering a surplus 3 years early. They refused to name the year that they would return the budget to surplus. We stand for a decent safety net. They would bring back work choices and AWAs. We stand for better health and better hospitals. They stand for ripping billions out of the public hospital system. We stand for the mining industry paying its fair share for the people's resources. They say the mining industry pays too much for those resources already. We stand for building something that lasts out of the soaring commodity prices and the second round of the mining boom. They stand for squandering it, just like they did last time round. We stand for better super for working families. They stand for ripping that extra super away. We stand for tax cuts for Australian business. They stand for tax increases for Australian business. We stand for the biggest increase in the pension's 100-year history. They stand for increasing the pension age to 70. These are just some of the differences between us. In 2010, the Liberal and National Party just want to slither into office on a string of fear campaigns because they know that fear is a potent force in politics. That is why they use it, because fear is powerful. It also helps to mask their real policy agenda, because their real policy agenda is not a pretty agenda at all. That's also why they choose to use fear. And what would they have us fear? What would they have Australians fear? They'd have us fear debt and deficit, though we have less debt by a country mile than any of the major advanced economies anywhere in the world. They'd have us fear a tax that requires mining companies to pay their fair share, though these companies now enjoy record profitability. They'd have us fear an emissions trading scheme when we all know that a price of carbon is inevitable, necessary for business, necessary for the environment. And they'd have us fear also genuine refugees, although this country has for decades taken the same overall number of refugees each year. Every time they would say to us, the sky is about to fall in. And then, mysteriously, the sky doesn't fall in. It didn't fall in after native title. It didn't fall in after the abolition of work choices. And guess what? It's not going to fall in now either. Each of these claims will be contested by the facts, and each will be found wanting, because the fears they promote are built on sand. Our task, as ever, is to recognise the concerns of the Australian community, not to deny them, and instead to put the facts before them. The Liberals and the Nationals oppose everything. They propose nothing, except, of course, fear. That's what seems to define Mr Abbott's Liberal and National Party, because in Mr Abbott we have the most extreme Liberal leader in its history. Opposition to reform, a party that looks not to the common good, but only what's in it for me. Friends, we in the Australian Labor Party can trace our lineage all the way back to the government of Andrew Fisher a century ago. This is a proud history. It is a good history. It is a good story. Indeed, we go all the way back to the founding of the Labor Party in 1891 on the fields of Barcaldine and the wharves of Balmain. And if Andrew Fisher was with us tonight, I believe he'd still feel very much at home among us, for our values have not changed. I think he'd be proud of the achievements today of the party he helped to found and the party he helped lead into office. The Fair Work Act that reflects the same values that shaped his reforms in the Conciliation and Arbitration Act. Australia's first ever paid parental leave scheme, shaped by the same values that inspired Australia's first ever maternity allowance under Andrew Fisher. The expansion of universal superannuation for working people, not just rich people, shaped by the same values that underpin Fisher's commitment to the age pension. The national broadband network, shaped by the same nation-building values that inspired the Transcontinental Railway. And when we told him that Australia emerged in better shape than any of the major advanced economies after the worst global recession since the 1930s, I think Andrew Fisher would probably be proud, maybe not all that surprised. Friends, Andrew Fisher never claimed to be a soaring intellect nor a powerful orator. He was an honest son of the mines of Ayrshire in Scotland, who chose to make his life here with us in Australia. But Andrew Fisher had character, he had determination, and he had the deepest sense of Labor values. And Fisher's achievements in office make him soar above contemporaries who enjoyed far greater education, privilege and prowess. As we cast our eyes back over the past century, we can see how the election of 1910 pointed with hope to Australia's future. The nation where a Scottish miner's son could rise to national leadership is a nation where hope can always triumph over fear. Where hope can always triumph over fear. A nation that would provide a home for the refugees from war-torn and destroyed Europe a generation later. A nation that would make a home for people from every corner of the world in the generations that followed. A nation that would finally come together formally to recognise its grave mistreatment of Indigenous Australians and to offer these first Australians a formal apology. 200 years late, long overdue, but in the end, well done. Friends, Australia in 2010 is very different to what it was in 1910. In so many ways, we are a better nation, a land of great diversity, of great opportunity, of great possibility, and a much better nation for the life of Andrew Fisher and the work of successive generations of this Australian Labor Party. I am proud to lead a government that stands in the tradition of Andrew Fisher. I'm proud to lead a reforming Labor government. I'm proud to lead a nation-building government grounded in enduring Labor values of hope triumphing over fear. A government with a vision for a stronger Australia, a fairer Australia, Australia for the 21st century, and a government that is getting on with the job of building that future today. I thank you.